For today's video, we are talking about being a lefty. I actually personally wish I was a lefty. It's this weird obsession I've had, and I think I have to owe it to my mom because she's always really had a fascination with lefties, and I just really am fascinated myself. I grew up with two friends who were left-handed, and I would just always think it was so cool that they were different from everybody else. And so if you're a lefty out there feeling like you don't have any hope or you feel kind of alone, do not worry. It's actually really cool to be a lefty, and more importantly, it is very possible to not just be a calligrapher as a lefty, but be a really good one. So for starters, let me talk a little bit about being a lefty in general. So if you're a lefty out there, just like everything else in life, you probably already figured out how to conquer using a tool or doing a certain skill as a left-handed person. So with calligraphy, it is no different. You simply need to understand how to manipulate and use the tool, which is our brush pen, and figure out how that works for you. Now, I don't want you to just dismiss my video as great. She's just gonna say, do what works for you, or you can do it, just make it work, because I understand that advice can sound encouraging, but it's not really practical. So when I flip around in a second, I'm actually going to show you practical tips on how to be a lefty as a calligrapher and how to use that brush pen. Now, just so you know, I am not left-handed. I've actually been asked if I was left-handed, and some people actually assume I'm left-handed because I share lefty tips, which is kind of flattering. But so I'm telling you that because when I turn around and do my demos, you'll have to forgive my shakiness, but the technique is there. And having had experience teaching plenty of lefties in my in-person workshops, in my online courses, and just in general on social media, I've had a lot of success. I've heard success from my students, so I'm really excited to bring those to you. Now, one thing to keep in mind, which is really awesome when it comes to using the brush pen, is that being a lefty, you may be fearful that the ink will smudge because you're basically making your letters from left to right, and so you're worried that you're going to have that smudging and you're going to dirty up your whole side of your hand. But what's awesome about brush pens, at least most of them, is they dry really fast. As soon as the ink hits the page, it's pretty much dry, with some exceptions to more juicier and more pigmented pens, such as the Ecoline pen, and some other large tip pens can be a little bit juicier and wet, so those might not dry as fast. But as a whole, most brush pens dry really fast, which makes it convenient to basically write out a long quote or just keep doing so many pieces and not worrying about you smudging, which can be a problem when you're doing actual watercolor or pointed pen. Not to knock those tools, but it's definitely something to keep in mind, and it can be frustrating to wait for the ink to dry before you can continue on, or to adjust your positioning just to account for the wetness. It's like almost like you have to be extra careful, and that can be kind of tough. So I really love teaching students who are lefties how to use the brush pen for brush calligraphy, because with that ink drying, you don't have to worry about it. It's almost like we can just move on from that step and actually get into the letter forms and get into how to create everything. All right, so remember in yesterday's day 5 video, I talked about, and this is just me demonstrating first as a right-hander, it's not just enough to write at an angle. So here's my aerial view, and imagine my pen is pointed straight up at the ceiling. It's not enough to just write at an angle, but you want to write perpendicular to your slant line. Okay, so see how I can't just hold at an angle here or here or here. I really want to hold it here, where if I were to press down, I get that front and back, that top and bottom of my teardrop is perpendicular to my slant line. So let's call my slant line this line here in pink. And then this is the direction that my pen is facing. Okay, so it's angle to the page, and then it's the direction it's facing. It's not pointing down, it's not pointing across, it's pointing at a perpendicular angle. So perpendicular, quick little reminder, is 90 degrees. So it forms this 90-degree angle to my slant line. And that is what makes it easy for me to from this position. And you may need to rotate your page if you can't get that position because you don't want to turn your hand. So I might rotate my page, and when I have my pen pointed in that direction, that's when I press down on the thick stroke, and I can get thick strokes that are on my slant line. Okay, and that's really helpful when I'm doing my transitions. I can always know that my pen will fall on that slant line. So let's hop over to my left hand here. Same thing, okay? So from here, I'm holding my pen up toward the ceiling. I'm gonna bring it down at an angle, and then I'm going to make sure that I rotate my page so that my pen now, when I press down and get my teardrop, look at where the front and back of my teardrop are facing, or at least the direction that it's pointed. So that way, when I press down on my side, I get those thick downstrokes on the slant line. Again, please forgive me, I'm not a lefty, so this will be a little shaky, but you get the concept. So now I can do light strokes and then heavy strokes on the slant line because of this direction I'm pointed. I'm not pointed parallel with the slant line. I'm not pointed at a smaller angle, but just exactly 90 degrees. So my thick down strokes, oops, so that was kind of difficult for me. Let's come down here. So my thick down strokes are on the slant line. I can lift up a little bit and make that hairline, and then I can press back down, and I'm at that angle. So I'm gonna stop here because I don't wanna overwhelm this video with too much instruction. The goal here was just to show you that the difference from right-handers and left-handers is simply the direction from which the pen is facing, but the same concepts apply. I'm going to put heavy pressure for the downstrokes, light pressure for the upstrokes. I'm perpendicular to my slant line, and then all of the letter forms and structures are still the same. So I want you to understand, if you're a left-hander, it's not that you're doomed, and it's not that you're going to have to learn the hard way. It's just about understanding how the tool needs to be manipulated and used. And then when we do future videos on actual drills and how to break these strokes down and how to practice them, you are already past the point of being comfortable with the brush pen itself. So give these a try if you're a lefty. Make sure that you're doing all of these things where you're holding the pen at an angle, you're perpendicular to the slant line, and then work on your thin upstrokes and your thick downstrokes. And make sure that that pen stays perpendicular, because that's what's going to keep your letters consistent. Same thing goes for right-handers, of course, where you want to make sure that that pen stays perpendicular to your slant line as you're doing your strokes. All right, my lefty friends, I hope this video was helpful for you. I'm really excited to share these kinds of tips with you that you may not see otherwise. I know it can be difficult to find lefty resources, so I'm hoping this video helped you out. And before you go, I wanted to list down below in the description box a couple of resources that may help you beyond myself, because I understand that while my tips may be helpful, it's really a lot more just a better way to learn if you can actually see a lefty in progress and in action. So I'm gonna list below some names of actual lefty calligraphers that you can check out and maybe follow or just observe, and hopefully that will really help solidify you learning how to do calligraphy as a lefty. So I will see you tomorrow with day 7 of my YouTober challenge. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really excited to have you follow along with my little series here. Let me know down below if this was helpful for you, especially if you are a lefty. I'd love to know, did you learn something new? Was something clear for you? Or did I leave you kind of in the dark? Or was there something I completely missed that didn't help out with your journey as a left-handed calligrapher? Let me know down below. Let me know, leave a comment, and I will hopefully address that in the future. So take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Now let me also, so for starters, I wanted to give you some inspiration, especially, don't want to promise it's easy. I just know that it's doable.